Hi everyone, it's Miss Kate. This is a little video about the Titanic, okay? Some of you might have heard this before, some of you might not have, and that's okay because we're going to look all about it in this video. So, the Titanic. The Titanic was the largest ship of its time, and it carried over 2,000 passengers and staff members. The first journey that it hoped to make was from Southampton to New York, but sadly the ship never managed to get to America, so it wanted to go all the way from the UK all the way to America, but it didn't make it because it sunk. So how was it made? How was the Titanic built? It was built in Belfast, which is in the UK. It took over 3 years to build and cost millions of dollars, so it was a very expensive ship. Titanic had 4 funnels. So if you're thinking, oh, what's a funnel? It's these things here. Out of the 4 funnels, only 3 of them worked. The other one was just there to make it look important and powerful. This is what made the Titanic very special and spectacular at the time, because it had 4 funnels. Other ships during that time never had 4, so this one looked extra special, extra powerful because of the 4 funnels. But remember, only 3 actually worked. So what could you do on the Titanic? Now, if you were a rich passenger, you would travel first class. If you were not that rich, you would travel as a third class passenger. If you were a first class passenger, you had lots of things to do. You could visit restaurants, you could visit the pool, you could visit the libraries, you could visit a gym. You could go singing, you could go dancing, you had lots of things to do. But if you were a third class passenger, it wasn't the same experience. You would have to sleep in bunk beds, in crowded cabins. There was only 2 bathrooms available to you and all the other third class passengers. So it wasn't that fun. How did the Titanic sink? Sadly, the Titanic hit an iceberg and it sank. Many people died. This happened on the 15th of April 1912. Now, there's no real conclusion or answer as to why the Titanic sunk after it hit the iceberg. So there's different theories. So the first theory is, some people say that the ship's captain ignored warnings about the icebergs. So people must have said to him, or someone must have said, look, there's an iceberg there, move the ship. But apparently he didn't listen. So that's one of the theories. The second theory is that the screws on the Titanic, the screws that kept the Titanic together, were very weak. They were of poor quality, and as soon as they hit the iceberg, it couldn't cope, and it broke down and it sank. So that's one reason. And the other reason is apparently the iceberg was so big, that's why the ship was damaged so badly, and that's why it sunk. So there's 3 different theories. Have a think, which theory do you think was the most likely reason as to why the Titanic sunk? So some people believe it was the captain's fault, some people believe it was the poor quality of the materials, or that the iceberg was just too big. So which theory do you think it was? The crew. A little bit about the crew. If you're in year 3, 4, 5, 6, you can read this by yourself. But the staff members, the crew, initially at the start, there were 913 members on board. And then when it sank, only 215 of those staff members survived. So if you're good with your maths, you can see how many didn't make it, sadly. So that's just a little bit about the Titanic. I'm going to ask you some questions now. It is up to you if you want to pause it and just say the answer out loud, or if you want to pause it and write the answer down on some paper. So the first question is, how many people could the Titanic carry? Okay, the Titanic could carry over 2,000 passengers. Number 2, so split it into 2 parts. How many funnels did the Titanic have? How many did they use and why? So the Titanic, to answer this question first, it had 4 funnels. Why did it have 4 funnels? Because they only used 3 and the other one was to make the ship look really powerful and important. What could the first class passengers do on the Titanic? They could visit restaurants, they could visit the pool, they could visit the gym, they could go to the libraries, go dancing, singing. Those were some of the things that they could do. So if you want to do some extra work on the Titanic, you are more than welcome to. If you want to share it with us on Class Dojo, you can. So the first one is art, okay? You can draw some pictures of the Titanic. It's up to you whether you want to draw it with pencil, if you want to use paint. It's up to you how you want to do it. You could create a collage. There are lots of pictures on Google and other search engines. You could create a collage. You could create a collage with your own drawings of the ship as well. The third one, and this is the fun one, and the one that I would recommend, is to build your own ship or boat. And I really like this one because you can just literally use a box or a container, get something sticky like blue tack, get a little cone or like a pencil, create a little sort of sail at the top and stick it in, and what you can do after is then see if it will float. You could fill up the sink or fill up the bath if you have one, fill it up and see if your boat floats. If you don't want to make it like this, you can make your own. You can make it with different materials as well. And definitely, if you do make one, definitely show me. I would love to see what you make. You can also create a spider diagram. Now this one's a fun one to do as well. So you can write Titanic in the middle, and you can put some adjectives and feelings. So if you were a first class passenger, how would you feel? If you were a third class passenger, how would you feel? How would you feel once the ship was sinking? So create a spider diagram with all the different feelings. If you like writing, and especially if you're in year 5 and year 6, especially the year 6 children, you could create a diary entry. So you could talk about what life was like if you were a first class passenger, or what life was like if you were a third class passenger. You can write a newspaper report. There's lots of examples you can find on the internet. Or you could create a explanation text, a little bit like this PowerPoint or a fact file, using information from this video or your own research, because there's a lot more to do with the Titanic. This is just a quick short video. So that's some of the things you can do. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new, at least one thing. Okay, if you do have a go at the tasks, you are more than welcome to send it to me, Miss Kane, at Class Dojo, or if your teachers don't mind, you can send it to them. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a lovely week. Speak to you soon.